Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen stood calm and composed as Denmark began their Euro 2020 campaign against Finland, while the noise inside Parken Stadium grew louder and the air thickened with excitement. Everything about the game seemed normal until something very strange happened. Eriksen fell to the ground just before halftime without any warning or contact. The ball was a few meters away. The game had moved on, and there he was, lying still on his face. It didn't take long for the seriousness to sink in. Teammates waved frantically for medical help. The crowd grew quiet. The medical staff ran onto the field and started chest compressions. For more than 10 minutes, cameras turned away, fans held their breath, and his teammates formed a circle around him to protect his privacy. It wasn't just about soccer anymore, it was about survival. Later reports confirmed what everyone feared, a heart attack. Eriksen's heart had stopped on live TV. They used a defibrillator. He was brought back to life on the field and taken to the hospital right away. The tournament went on even though he wasn't there. Denmark fought hard, but Eriksen's absence hung over them like a cloud. He received an implantable defibrillator months later. His future in football looked uncertain, especially since Serie A's medical rules prevented him from playing for Inter Milan. But Eriksen came back, not to finish a story about a comeback, but simply because he could. And for those who saw it, his greatest achievement wasn't a goal or an assist. It was just staying alive. Ronaldo Nazário. By the year 2000, Ronaldo Nazário was more than just a striker. He was a phenomenon. His speed was unbelievable. His footwork was otherworldly, and defenders were left chasing shadows. He had already created moments at Inter Milan that changed what a forward could be. Then came the night of April 12, 2000. He was back in the Coppa Italia against Lazio after months of dealing with injuries. The excitement was through the roof. Fans were thrilled, and teammates were hopeful. Ronaldo got the ball near the edge of the box in the 58th minute and planted his foot to turn. There was no need for slow motion to see what happened next. Ronaldo fell to the ground, holding his knee and screaming with no one else around. It looked like a simple fall from the outside. In reality, it was devastation. His patellar tendon had completely torn. Not just stretched or partially torn, but ripped apart. The medical staff rushed in, but the silence in the stadium had already made the decision. Later, surgeons would confirm how serious it was. It wasn't just an injury that ended the season, it was one that could end a career. The recovery path felt more uncertain than ever for a player whose game depended on speed. Ronaldo would come back later and even win a World Cup in 2002, but he was never again the hurricane that tore through defenses. That night in Rome didn't just change the course of his career, it changed it forever. Eduardo da Silva. Arsenal's attack in the 2007-08 season was beginning to take shape around a new identity, one that was fluid, young, and fearless. Eduardo da Silva had found his rhythm in that system. The Croatian striker, born in Brazil, wasn't the flashiest player, but he was deadly in the box. It felt like he was on the rise. But on February 23rd, during a game against Birmingham City, everything fell apart in just over 3 minutes. Martin Taylor of Birmingham lunged in to tackle Eduardo as he tried to move the ball forward. He was late. At that moment, the game came to a halt. When Eduardo hit the ground, he screamed, and those who saw it wished they hadn't. His foot turned in a strange way, and his shin bent in ways that no leg should. The injury was severe, a broken left fibula, a dislocated ankle, and badly damaged ligaments. He was taken to the hospital immediately, where surgeons worked for hours to put his broken leg back together. But the bigger price couldn't be paid in an operating room. Eduardo returned to the pitch, but the sharpness that used to define his movement had faded. He never fully regained his timing, confidence, or mental clarity under pressure. He kept playing professionally, but he never got back on the path that had made him one of Europe's best strikers. Over time, people stopped talking about the goals he scored and started talking about the tackle that stopped everything. In football, one challenge can end a match and a dream at the same time. Abou Diaby. Abou Diaby didn't come to England to make a big deal out of things. He let his game do the talking. His long strides and easy control made it seem like he had always been a part of Arsenal's midfield. It was impossible not to compare Diaby to Vieira, but Diaby had his own style and a more graceful way of dominating. Everything was going well until one poorly timed challenge changed everything. Dan Smith lunged with reckless force on a rainy afternoon at the Stadium of Light. The blow to Diaby's ankle was swift and devastating. The crowd went quiet as he fell, clutching his leg in pain. Medical reports confirmed the worst: a broken ankle and serious damage to the ligaments and nerves. The physical damage was severe, but the real test came afterward. Diaby came back, but not in the way that athletes hope to return. His movements, once smooth, now showed hesitation. His body, which he used to trust, became unpredictable. He tried to get ahead of the injury for years. He worked out, rested, and went through rehab, but each time a different muscle, joint, or moment let him down. More than 40 injuries followed. He was brilliant at times, goals, glides, glimpses, but they vanished as quickly as they appeared. Arsène Wenger stuck with him longer than most managers would have, but loyalty couldn't change biology. Diaby's name slowly disappeared from matchday squads and then from the league itself. His story wasn't about what he did, it was about what he never got to finish. Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere once seemed like the future of English midfield. He was the face of Arsenal's next generation because he could make sharp turns in tight spaces, dribble fearlessly, and play with confidence despite his young age. But despite his great technical skills, there was one thing that always worked against him: his own body. Wilshere was trying to break through midfield in a close match against Manchester United at the Emirates when Paddy McNair lunged in with a hard challenge. Wilshere grimaced and didn't move after the tackle. He eventually limped away, but the damage was worse than it first appeared. Scans showed that his ankle ligaments were torn, just one of many injuries that would shape his career. What followed wasn't a simple recovery, it was a cycle that kept repeating. Spending months on the sidelines became normal. Every time he got close to being fully healthy, something else went wrong. It wasn't the injuries that hurt the most, it was the glimpses. Those short bursts when Wilshere looked like his old self made it clear what had been lost. He would control the midfield one week and then not be on the squad list the next. His body wouldn't give him any consistency. By his late 20s, he was already considering retirement. Not because he didn't want to play, but because football kept shutting the door just as he reached for it. Wilshere's story changed from being about his potential to being about the price of chasing it in a body that couldn't keep up. Michael Owen. Michael Owen used to be more than just a striker. He was England's great hope. For years, from his teenage breakthrough in the 1998 World Cup to his Ballon d'Or win in 2001, he had been dancing past defenders as if he were built for it. He was explosive, direct, and clinical until the day his own body betrayed him. June 20th, 2006. In their last group match of the World Cup, England played Sweden. Owen took a routine touch near the sideline just over a minute into the game. No collision, no hard tackle. Just a quick move and then a sudden fall. Before the ball even rolled out of play, he grabbed his right knee. The diagnosis: a complete tear of the anterior cruciate ligament. Not just a sprain and not something you can just play through. Surgery was immediate. Recovery would take months, but the long-term cost wasn't just physical, it was mental as well. Yes, Owen came back. He even scored goals again. But the burst, the trust in his own legs, and the freedom that made him unstoppable never returned. Injuries had always been a part of his journey, but this one changed the final chapters. Looking back, that moment was more than just an injury. It was a sign, a quiet and cruel reminder that time moves on and pace fades, even for a player once known as England's golden boy, Neymar. Neymar always carried high hopes whenever he played for Brazil. He felt the weight of the jersey more than most. He was Pelé's heir, the leader of a generation, and the hope of a nation. But in October 2023, during a World Cup qualifier against Uruguay, that weight became silent. Neymar chased a loose ball near the halfway line, late in the first half. His run was normal and quick until his right foot hit the ground awkwardly, causing him to twist. He collapsed immediately with no warning or contact. There was no need to guess. His scream told the whole story. The Brazilian medical team arrived quickly and things escalated rapidly. He held onto his knee and shook his head. They called for the stretcher. Fans watched, not with anger or impatience, but with fear because they had seen this before. The scan revealed what many feared: a complete ACL tear and damage to the meniscus. Surgery would be required, and the recovery time would be long and uncertain. This wasn't just another injury for Neymar. It happened at 31, during a time when comebacks need more than just time. He had already endured many setbacks like broken metatarsals, torn ankles, and strained ligaments. But this one felt like the end. Not just because it was severe, but also because it happened as he was trying to find happiness outside of Europe. There has never been any doubt about Neymar's greatness. But as he lay in that stadium in Montevideo, one thing became clear. No matter how talented someone is, the body always wins. Alex Oxlade Chamberlain. Alex Oxlade Chamberlain entered the first leg of the 2018 Champions League semi-final against Roma in the best shape of his life. He had only been with Liverpool for a year after leaving Arsenal, but he quickly became an important part of Jurgen Klopp's high-energy midfield, bringing together drive, technique, and tactical discipline. But everything fell apart in the 18th minute of that night. Oxlade Chamberlain's knee twisted in an odd way when he tried to slide tackle near the sideline. The moment seemed routine, but his scream told a different story. Medical staff rushed to his side, and it quickly became clear how serious the injury was. He had torn multiple ligaments in his right knee, including the ACL and MCL. The damage was so severe that surgeons later said they had to rebuild not only the ligaments but also the soft tissue around them. He missed the Champions League final, the World Cup, and almost all of the next season because of the injury. He did eventually return to the field, but things had changed. His explosiveness, confidence, and consistency all declined. Klopp and the club backed him, but his role was never the same. Oxlade Chamberlain was once thought to be a long-term midfield anchor for both club and country, but now he is a cautionary tale about how promise can be broken and momentum lost in a single tackle. Today we talked about every football injury that ruined careers explained. Which injury and ended career do you think was the most dramatic? And if there are other names we missed, I'm waiting for you in the comments. See you in the next video.